Hello and welcome. You're listening to Start Again with Shauna Lee, sponsored by Soulway Massage. This is the place where you'll be reminded that it's never too late and you're never too old to do the damn thing. So stick around if you're ready to vibe higher and be inspired to chase your dreams. Together, we will uncover your soul's truest desires. Now, if you're ready, let's get started. Hello, everyone, and welcome back. I have another new friend to introduce you to today. I'm so excited. Maryanne Renzetti is the founder and CEO of the Systems Queens, and she has so graciously agreed to come and tell us her story today. So, Maryanne, thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I like to give everyone a couple minutes at the beginning just to give a quick little intro. So if you'll tell everyone who you are, where you're located, a little bit about your business, that would be amazing.
Sure. My name is Maryanne. I'm located in Maple Ridge in BC in Canada. So that's a suburb of Vancouver. I am a single mama of a 6.5-year-old girl and a 3-year-old rescue dog from Mexico.
Oh, from Mexico.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a story there, I'm sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, so tell us a little bit about your journey and how you got to be the founder of this business, which sounds amazing. I'd love to hear more about it. But specifically, how have you embraced this idea of starting again?
So I spent 10 years in an adult coaching college, in various different positions and wearing different hats. Um, I ended up learning inadvertently a lot about the different aspects of running a business because when I started working there were 5 of us in the office, and by the time I left, there were like 15.
Oh,
So
okay.
it grew a lot in that time, and I ended up doing things like starting the group benefits plan for them, and I started their social media accounts, and now like they have the proper people in place to do those roles.
Yeah.
But I was the program coordinator, so I like booked the courses and the trainers and everything like that. Um, and yeah, I learned a lot about running a business when I worked there, and I ended up in the last 4 years being the systems administrator. So the operational systems that the business was using to run, which for them was Salesforce, which is a type of CRM out there, and I got certified in it and everything, and took the exam. So when I lost my job in 2021, I was laid off due to COVID, and I had to pivot unexpectedly. Thankfully, I had a severance, so I was able to kind of float for a couple months. But I kind of thought to myself, well, what could I do? And I've got this skill and this certification of Salesforce, so I guess I could bounce off that and be a Salesforce consultant, VA type thing. So I started, and I didn't really have a ton of direction, but I started doing that, and I got a couple Salesforce clients, and it gradually kind of grew to where it is now. And now Salesforce is one of the programs that we help businesses with, but it's certainly not all of it. And there's a team of 9 of us, 9 female business system specialists, and we call ourselves systems agnostic. So we'll deal with any business system that gets thrown at us. Basically, our focus is more to help the business owner to identify and streamline and support their entire client journey.
Oh, gotcha.
So that's kind of the short answer of how I got to here.
I love that. And you've kind of touched on it, but this idea of starting a new business or venturing out on your own to do something different after being laid off is a common story that we are hearing more and more of. Like when you think back to your journey, what inspires you most about your story?
Well, right before I lost my job, I had lost my dad in December 2020. And then not due to COVID, but since it was December of 2020, I never saw him at the end, and I couldn't go in there and see him, and it was sudden. And then in March of 2021, I lost my stepmom. She didn't pass away, but she decided to leave our family after 27 years. So I actually haven't spoken to her since then. And then I lost my job.
Oh, wow.
So so those 3 things happened at the same time.
Oh, it's like a triple whammy.
Yeah, it was not fun, and the whole time I was single mom in it and everything. And so I guess what inspires me is that I was able to pick myself up after all of that and move on and start this journey of entrepreneurship, which is scary in itself. Uh,
Yes.
and I was resilient.
Yeah, totally. Well, I think anybody who can put one foot in front of the other after any one of those losses, it's commendable, right? It's inspiring just to be able to see someone pick themselves back up and continue going. But to be able to do that after three big losses in a row, that's pretty significant. And I would say, yes, that is inspiring and quite resilient.
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit more about your business. Who is your ideal client?
Well, we help business owners, generally solopreneurs to medium-sized businesses, who need to clarify or streamline their client journey. Maybe they know that they need some business systems to, improve their efficiencies and their client experience, but they don't know what those systems are. They have no idea how to use them. They get scared of even touching any of that because they're like, well, I'm not going to be able to use that system. We can help those people to map out their client journey and identify the systems that they need to support them. And when we set them up for them, we'll implement those systems and we'll train them on how to use them going forward. So we help people to feel confident in using those systems moving forward to help run their business as smoothly as possible.
Yeah, that's amazing. It's such a huge value add, especially for um, a one-man show up to, these smaller businesses when they're just venturing into needing to automate and use systems. Um, I'm familiar with Salesforce, and I'm sure many of the other systems that you guys have worked with, just from my 20 years of corporate experience. And I would say, like, try the idea of implementing one of those systems and learning it is overwhelming, but then to be able to think, a few steps down the road to plan for future growth and future scaling, I think that's really helpful that you can guide them through that process because that's pretty overwhelming.
It can be for sure.
Yeah. So when I listen, my last interview, I feel like I gained a little wisdom. I was scolded a little bit, not really, not at all scolded. She was saying how she doesn't like the word lessons, and I have been so focused on lessons. She's like, it just sounds harsh, and she said it's just a little abrupt, and I don't think it should be that hard. And we're not here to learn lessons. And what she was saying really was that we gain wisdom along our journey. And she's like, I think gaining wisdom sounds so much softer and nicer. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I never thought about that. So, anyways, my question that all of this backstory is leading up to, um, when I look back on my journey, I see many, many lessons. As yes, I've gained wisdom, but also I see a theme in those lessons. So, for you, when you look back on your journey, what is the theme in those lessons or that wisdom gained?
Hmm. Well, I'm good with either of those terms, but let's see. Well, one of the things that I can think of a few things. One of them is to be authentic.
Mm,
I've learned now that, being your true self and being true to who you are is so important and can reap you so many rewards and benefits. And you shouldn't be afraid of who that is, and you shouldn't be trying to hide who that is to make other people happy or to fit into other people's molds. Um, I've had to learn that the hard way, but it's so worth it. It's such a valuable lesson. Uh, and I think a kind of going hand in hand in that. Another one is to not take things personally,
oh,
and
that's a good one.
and that was a big one that I learned at my 10 years at that corporate office job.
Hmm.
I used to take things so personally, and if it was job feedback or if it was me as a person feedback or anything, I'd be like, oh my god, they hate me. Oh my god,
Yes.
what is it? What did I do? Oh my god, I'm the worst. Oh god. And I just like internalize it and like, mull about it. But but I learned that before taking it personally, to take a step back and to try to think of like why that person said that
Yeah.
and what was motivating it for them to say that. And maybe it's more about them than it is about you.
Hmm.
Maybe not. Maybe it's more about your job and how you're doing your job. But then, even in that case, you don't have to take it personally because that's an opportunity for growth and
Yeah.
that's an opportunity of how you can improve and get better. So if you can avoid taking things personally, there's usually some gold there,
Yes.
uh, and a lesson to be learned. I don't want to
True.
use that term, but
True.
kind of. Yeah, it's always an opportunity.
No, I think that's really good. And yes, this idea of becoming our most authentic self is, I think, the goal and what we should be all kind of striving for. Um, so yeah, I think when it comes to taking things personally, it is a hard lesson for us to learn. I noticed when I was venturing out to write my first book and I started telling people about it, that a lot of their feedback in the beginning, I was taking it personally. I was thinking when they said, "Oh, did you go to school to be a writer?" Or I'm trying to think of what the things that they said to me, but a lot of the feedback that I was getting at first, I was like, oh God, imposter syndrome is a big enough issue. All by myself, I can think of all the reasons why I should not do something. But to have people kind of question me along the way or give me criticism at first was really difficult not to take it personal. But what I quickly realized was it almost always had more to do with them than it had anything to do with me. And so when I could learn to see their feedback through their eyes and not mine was a game changer because then I was able to just kind of separate myself from it a little bit. Um, and the other thing that I realized with negative feedback or rejection or no's, which is when we are really good at taking things personal, is that there's such value in that feedback that we're getting. If we just look at it like it's feedback, there's some really good golden nuggets in there if we pay attention and we choose to see what people are really giving us in that moment. But this is only after you cannot take it personal, which is hard.
It is hard. And I think it comes from having the reason I linked it with being authentic is because I think it also comes from having like a strong sense of self and being comfortable with who you are and knowing that like you're awesome and like, their feedback isn't about me personally. So that doesn't
Yeah,
touch me much. I was, it took me a long time,
absolutely.
40. It took me a long time to get here. So I wish I
Yeah,
was
yeah,
like
yeah.
this in my 20s, but yeah,
Well, that's actually my next question. That's amazing segue. The best way to attract love is to love yourself. For many of us, we are only just beginning to learn what it truly means to care for ourselves, and that can begin with your body. A happy body leads to a happy mind and a happy spirit. This is what self-care is built upon. Now, if you are local, you must visit Soul Way Massage in Round Rock, Texas. Jen will help you to shift, release, and transform your emotional and physical blocks. Jen's ability to read a body and respond is nothing short of magical. She uses a custom approach for every client that includes various healing massage modalities like Thai yoga massage and lymphatic drainage therapy. Book your first body session at Soulway Massage with code LOVE. The links are in the show notes. Now, let's get back to the show. When you look back to the younger version of you, what advice would you give her?
God, I think about this a lot. I see pictures of myself and I think like, oh man, if only I knew.
Oh,
I'd
man.
love to have like the body of a 20-year-old, but like know what I know
Yeah.
now. Because like I want to go back to her and just be like, oh my God, you're so amazing. You are very like you're fit as you are. Because I thought I was overweight back then, and
Yeah.
I just like look at pictures and I'm like, oh my God, what was I thinking? Like
Yeah.
who was I seeing in the mirror? And like you can be who you are. You don't have to hide it in front of people because I'm very quirky and eccentric. I can be, and when I get comfortable around people. And I used to hide that
Yeah.
from folks. I used to, especially in dating, I used to like pretend I was this normal person, and then it would come out at some point. I'd like break out into a British accent for no reason at all, and they'd be like, "Whoa, what? Whoa!" And then it would all be downhill
That's
from there. And I'm like,
amazing.
such a waste of time. Like, why not just start with who you are? And then if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, but at least you know. Um,
I wish I could do accents. I'm so jealous of people who can do them. I think that is a skill I do not have, and I wish I had.
well, it's fun.
Well,
I trained to be an actor. I actually went to university for acting. So my
oh,
life is
amazing.
not how I thought it would turn out, but I wouldn't change anything. But yes, I spent a long time on stage before now.
There you go. There you go. Well, life never turns out the way we planned it. And I always say, thank God, because, oh my gosh, it's so much better than I could have even imagined. If I was left in charge of all of the decisions, and listen, for the most of my younger years, I wanted to be very much in control. Um, but had I been actually in control of how everything went, um, it would not have been as amazing as it is now.
That's true. That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah. Well, that's some good advice to the younger you. And I often think the same thing when I look back at um, younger pictures of myself. I'm like, if I could go back to when I thought I was fat, that would be amazing.
Right? Oh, like who are you seeing?
I know. Well, I have no idea. Yeah. I'm like, okay, well, here
Oh,
we are. Yeah, my younger daughter is literally like a spitting image of me. It's like looking back in time 20 years ago. She looks like me, she acts like me, and she is in this exact stage of her life where she is overly critical of herself. And I have told her many times, I would literally pay money to look like you again. Like,
right? I know. I know. Oh, it's so hard because you can't learn confidence really. Like, well, I guess you can,
no,
but
it's over
you can't a
time.
button
You
on
can,
everything.
I think we can hone it.
Yeah,
And I think a lot of it just comes with time. Um, my last interview, she was talking about how she does public speaking, and she will stand up on stage and ask women, how many of you, with a show of hands, can stand in the mirror fully naked and say, "Girl, you are gorgeous." And I was like, I got real quiet when she was telling the story, and I thought, oh, this is a good goal for me. Like I could do this. I think that negative self-speak, it's long lasting, and it's one of the hardest habits, I think, for most of us to break. That inner critic.
100%.
Definitely I prove that to be true on a daily basis. But I am working on it. I tell you, I'm working on it. So what is next for you? Where do you go next with your business? What is on your agenda?
Well, we're growing. We have one project manager. We're going to be adding a second. I'm trying to build my team to be as self-sufficient as possible, and we set up automations and processes for other businesses. So I'm constantly practicing what I preach and trying to apply that to our business as much as possible, and streamlining our processes and taking feedback from clients, be it positive or negative, and applying it to our business to improve things, make it more efficient. So that's the dream, is to have this self-sufficient agency that I don't have to be too involved with implementation. Right now, I'm still quite involved with implementation. But I'm working on that. We're only 2.5 years old, so I think that's common at this stage.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, up from here.
Yeah, totally. Well, so when you look forward and you're kind of future planning, what do you now believe is possible for your own life?
Well, I know that a lot of people start their own business thinking that they're going to be, having this great work-life balance, and it's gonna, I'm gonna like work less because I can like move it around, I can fit it around my life, and like if I have to go pick up my daughter and take care of her for a
Mhm.
while, that doesn't matter because like I'm an entrepreneur now. And I found that not to be true. Um, when I had a corporate office job, I worked 9 to 5, and then I went home and I did not open my computer again that night, and I did my life. Now, yes, I fit it around
Yeah.
my life and I work when I need to, but I work in every single opportunity that I have. So that's not actually the life I want for myself. I would like a better work-life
Yep.
balance, and to, that's why I say I'm trying to grow our agency to be more self-sufficient. And the goal is to actually have that work-life balance, set up and locked in, and have more time to not open my computer
Yeah.
late at night.
Listen, that's a good goal. And I was giggling because what you speak is truth.
Right? I know.
Now, listen, there were many years when that was not my life in corporate America, and I was still working around the clock and meetings all day. And then felt like I was constantly juggling, running my kids where they needed to be and answer emails. And so when I found myself as an entrepreneur doing the same damn thing, I'm like, oh, well, this isn't quite what I wanted, except I know how to do it. And so, yes, I think finding that balance. And for me, it's remembering that I also matter and I need to have downtime and relax and have some fun. So yes, I love your vision for future you. I think everyone should embrace that. Work is fine, but fun is good too. And the balance of the two is important.
Yes, that's a good point. My daughter was diagnosed autistic a year and a half ago, so somewhat I was forced to, when I have her, I'm forced to slow down and like not do anything else because she demands my attention, which is maybe a blessing because it's forced me to be like, no, now is not computer time, and I can't. Like, I literally can't. So
yeah, I think both children and the universe have an uncanny way of making sure that we do what we should be doing. And when that means stopping and resting, I think when we don't do that for ourselves, that's when something in life creates the demand that it has to happen. That's generally when people get sick and they're forced to rest if they haven't been resting on their own. But yeah, I think kids are great at just reminding us that we should be present and have some fun and play. And I have totally been guilty of the just one more email, just one more thing. And then every once in a while, I'm like, she's not going to be 10, but one time in her life. So I should probably just go play stupid Twister.
Twister. Oh, God. Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Because, I have older girls too. And I look back and I'm like, wow, those years they felt, have you heard this phrase? The days are long, but the years are short.
Yeah, that's true.
It's so true. Like in the moment of the day, you're like, holy hell, I'm just tired and I've got 18 more things to do. But when I look back at my girls, I'm like, wow, those years really did fly by. In the moment, they felt like they were crawling. But I have that helpful reference, which not that I'm stellar at it now, but I try to keep that in the back of my mind and try to be more present for the little ones than I was for the older ones for sure. The last question I have is how people can find you. So, if any of my listeners are in need of your services, where can they find you?
Well, they can find us on our website, www.thesystemsqueens.com. We're on Instagram at the Systems Queens. We're on all the things, I think, Facebook and TikTok as well. We also have I don't know if it's okay to mention, but we have a course that's launching on September 5th called How to Streamline Your Client Journey. So it's going to help business owners to walk through and map out their client journey for themselves. And we'll talk about best practices and how to set up automations within them and how to use that journey to help them identify which system they need for themselves. It's in beta testing right now. So we've got 15 beta testers going through it. And on September 5th, we're going to launch it officially. So maybe we can include that info. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, I could include a little promo code if you want to maybe offer people a deal on a ticket to get into that course.
That would be fabulous. Yes, I will definitely include all of that. I'm sure that my listeners will be interested in joining your course. That's exciting. And I think the time frame for us airing this particular episode will play nicely with that. So that's great. Yes, we'll include that for sure. Amazing. Well, I cannot thank you enough for joining. It was such a pleasure to meet you. And I am so grateful that you chose to spend some time with me this afternoon.
Aw, thank you, Shauna. It was awesome to chat.
Did you like this episode or did you love it? Inquiring minds want to know. The best way to support this show is to subscribe and leave a review. I can't wait to hear what you have to say. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time.